It's showtime. What is up, everybody? Listen, I am sorry. We're just coming right at it. Like, this has been one of the guests that, as soon as we started talking from the first second, it was just, we're into the conversation already. So I figured we would just go live. Everybody, tonight, my guest, Miss Donna Bowman, aka the Bourbon Goddess. How are you?
I am great. I am great, and thanks so much for the opportunity to join you tonight. You're right. We've already been having a great conversation, and so yeah, I feel like right at home here talking with you.
Right, and that's the best way. That just makes it so much easier, right? Because this ultimately it's just a good conversation, and that's really what people want to see, right? That's what they want to hear. They want to know about you. I know I want to know about you because you keep coming across my feed with all these cool bourbon facts and stuff. So how did this all start? Like, give me a rundown. Like, what, you know?
Yeah. Well, I am born and raised in Kentucky. So being from Kentucky, people would think that automatically when I say that, people are like, oh, okay, yeah, well, it's in your blood. And I'm
Right.
like, well, not really. I'll say that I started drinking whiskey again, maybe about 15 years or so ago. And what I
Okay.
mean by again, I remember trying like Jack Daniel in like 1992. I'm dating myself, but 1992, 93, I was in Korea and we were on a bus, come to think of it. And one of my good girlfriends, her husband gave me a shot of Jack Daniel. And I was like, ooh,
Hot.
like this is like putting hair on my chest. And I was like, I don't want any more of this. And so then I became that, vodka girl and, drinking the cute martinis and things
Right.
like that. Now I can't even stand vodka, but
Ah.
so, but yeah. So, and believe it or not, you're probably not going to believe this, but it was my daughter who she was at she just graduated, I think, from the University of Louisville. And I can remember throwing her a graduation party, and she was with her girlfriends, and they were, they wanted bourbon, and it was clear to me that they weren't new to this. They were true to this. They had been drinking the bourbon, and so she
Ah.
said to me, I talked about, oh gosh, this is, it's going to burn, and she was like, Mama, no, try with some ginger ale and a splash of lemon. So that's where it all started until I got to the place where, and then about 5 or 6 years ago, it just really became a passion of mine, wanting to
So
learn more about it.
your
Yeah,
daughter kind of turned you on to all this.
she
Like,
did. She did. She did.
and then look what you turned it into, right? Like, I mean,
Right.
tell me what exactly, like, what goes into becoming a steward?
Oh, so I'm going to start first.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm an executive bourbon steward, but before I became an executive bourbon steward, I actually studied to become a certified bourbon taster. Believe it or not, um,
Okay.
through Whiskey University. And Whiskey University folks can still, do the certification with them. And but I was just really curious about expanding my knowledge
Yeah.
about bourbon, and at the time it wasn't so much about a business. I just really wanted to learn more about it. Bourbon, one of the things that I discovered with bourbon, just opening up a bottle, pouring a glass, just the smells, the things that it invoked for me.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to learn more about it. So I found myself getting books and just reading it. And I can remember there was this, I think it may have been on YouTube, and it was
Right.
called Neat. And it was this documentary about bourbon. And when I tell you, I watched that thing, I don't know how many times.
Right.
And saw, people on it, and, saw some of their levels of certification. And so that was one of the things that it piqued my interest. And so I wanted to do that. And so after I became a certified bourbon taster, it was like, okay, keep going. I was initially a certified bourbon steward through the Stave and Thieves Society, Moonshine University, actually. It's called Moonshine University.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
And so,
know. So a master distiller,
mhm,
Reginald Wagoneer.
uh-huh.
went to the Moonshine University.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
Mr. Particular. He's very like, I'm like, that's Moonshine University stuff right there. For sure. That's cool. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just got to I had to throw that out there.
No. That's fine. And then just, I wanted to continue to learn more. And so I went back to Moonshine University to earn, my certification as an executive bourbon steward. And that's their, currently right now, they're top level. And it was just important for me, like I said, just to continue to expand my knowledge about bourbon. And so, yeah.
So okay, here's a good one, right? So do you remember what was the first one that really, what was the first bourbon that you tried other than the Jack Daniels that kind of like hit you like, whoa, there is a huge difference in bourbon. You know what I mean? As compared to like a whiskey or something like that.
Oh yeah. Old Forester. And Old Forester, like 1870. And I became a fan. Oh yeah.
You said that with passion, so I know.
Yeah. I became a fan. I was like, oh, they do good stuff here. Right. And so I can remember, it was 1870, then 1897. And those were like, the couple bottles that I had on my shelf. And I was like, hey, drinking those with regularity, but still with the little ginger ale.
Right.
Right?
Okay. So
or maybe a lot of ginger ale until I got to the point where, if I do anything in a cocktail with bourbon now, it's just because I'm intentional about just making a cocktail and so, typically, it's an old fashioned.
So it's funny because, like I always admired somebody who can do that. Right. But it's not like, hey, I'm a newbie, I'm just going to go out and get the best bourbon and put it on rocks. I am 46 years old and I have never, and I want to so bad, have like a good bourbon on the rocks that you can just just easy sip. I've never done that. My buddy's doing it with Crown and I'm like, bro, Crown, like I can make you something better than that. Like,
but there's so many good bourbon sippers that you can do that.
Right. And see, I just feel like, I don't know. I don't want to just like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I just go in there and got, give me the best bourbon. Like I want to go in knowing, makes sense, like what I want and what I'm looking for. Now, when it comes to this palate thing, that right there is, so that's crazy. That's something real crazy. And what was even crazier, I saw one of your videos, right? When you were given the whole rundown on how you really like, if you want to smell it or if you're going to drink it.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Like, what are the steps there? Because there are steps in doing that.
Look, like, I'm going to pour in this bottle here. Let me tell you, I put it in this decanter because I actually gifted the rest of it. This is New Riffs, their 10-year bourbon that they released. Gosh, when did I picked this up? Just last month in their distillery, and then they sold out of it like the next day. So and I couldn't gift it to the person that I was going to gift him a bottle, and so I gave him part of my bottle for the rest here. But one of the things that I talk about in terms of bourbon, and I don't know if that video was how was bourbon but I really want to show people, because I talk about this when I'm teaching folks about bourbon or curating tastings, the 5 S's of tasting bourbon, right? So the 5 S's. First, you want to see, and just similar as you can see here, right? You're looking at color. And one of the things that I tell people all the time is, based on the color, whether it's, amber or honey color, golden, whatever those may be. But typically the darker the color, the longer that it's been in the barrel. Okay. And then similar to like what you do with wine, you want to give bourbon a swirl. And similar, like what you do is you can see the legs, and I know we can't really see it here, but you can see the legs come down, just like what you see in wine. And so if those legs are going down pretty fast, that's an indicator, once again, of how long that bourbon may have been in the, been aging in the barrel. Yeah. But if it's slower, you're typically, so you think like a 10-year, 12-year bourbon, you're going to see, different types of legs. Yeah. And then the next thing is smell. Now that's the piece that's like really important. Some people will say, get that nose right in there. Get that nose right in there. You think about it, because we've talked about moonshine. You can't stick your nose straight in there. It's going to burn everything, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to do is just, smell, but just move it from side to side. But you want to keep your mouth. Oh, that smells good too. Let me just. You want to keep the mouth slightly open, right? When you're moving it, it's from side to side. And so as I do this, I mean, I'm telling you, I am picking up, I describe things like, caramel and brown sugar. But if you think about it, even like as food, we were talking, earlier about you making a moonshine and like the orange kind of dreamsicle, type thing, right? So you think about, those are the type of things when you think about bourbon, that's what you pick up. And then the fourth thing, of course, is savor. That's what, some people talk about doing a Kentucky chew. I don't like to do a Kentucky chew because this is where you're putting it in and kind of swishing it around and it burns it just a little bit. For me, just a quick sip. And I hold it in my mouth just for a little bit, and then I swallow, and then it gives me an opportunity to, what I picked up on my nose, because see, that's how you're first tasting bourbon, is what you're nosing, right? Mm-hmm. And stuff. And then does it kind of match what, and then finally, it's just savor. I'm just enjoying this bourbon. So
see, that's so cool, because like, and when you had said about like, leave your mouth slightly open and smell, because it makes sense, right? Your smell and your taste are connected. Like, you may not smell something, but you can describe how it tastes.
Yes.
Right? And that's all kind of together. So that's kind of what you're doing. And you're able to actually, it was really neat because I did it. And you're able to actually smell some different things that you may not, you wouldn't even know that were there.
Yes. Yes. I was a couple of weeks ago, I was meeting with some men, and we were actually doing a bourbon and cigar pairing. But I had them just as a focus group, because it was a pairing that I had done a few days prior, but I wanted to get their feedback on this pairing as well. And there's one particular guy in this focus group who's always like, I can't pick up anything that you're saying ever, and all the other guys were like, I get this, I get that. And so I said to him, listen, stop just trying to make it seem so hard, right? Just really think about food in general, right? Remember, you and I were talking about bread earlier, right? Just think about food in general. And so once he started doing that, he was like, okay, I'm getting spice. Yep, you probably so, because this does have pepper in it. Yeah, so he felt, I think after it was over with, he felt really good that he at least could pick up something.
That's funny. Look, they're already loving you. Look, the one guy's like, I'm hooked. She's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Taylor, they love it, man. Like, so a lot of my fans that are watching are moonshiners, right? Or the home distiller, will say, and a lot of them like to make their bourbon. So yeah, we're because we're going to get into a few things here, like, because I know what kind of got me was you drinking Old Granddad?
Old Granddad. I love me some Old Granddad.
Old Granddad.
$20 a bottle. Love it.
You can't beat it, right? And that's a rye whiskey, correct?
Yes. Well, it's a high rye. It's a high rye. So yeah.
So explain the difference. What is a high rye?
Sure. Yeah. So, typically, there a brand or distilleries use like 3 flavoring grains, right? So corn, for bourbon to be a bourbon, it has to be at least 51% corn. And so the other flavoring grains that they may use are rye and wheat and barley. That's the fourth one. And so a high rye, meaning that the second flavoring grain is probably a higher concentration of rye. So I think, that Old Granddad probably, like 20 or plus more percentage of it is rye. And so Listen, and I'm telling you, it is great just a sipper. You talked about earlier, just having a everyday sipper. It's great as an everyday sipper, but it's also really good. It's a go-to for me if I want to make an old fashioned because it's 100 proof. So it's coming through. You're not because you're adding a little simple syrup to it, and the bitters, but it's got enough weight to stand up, to that old fashioned. So that's why I like it. And I think I may have done a video because I did several videos with that old granddad because I wanted to show people what that $20 bottle of bourbon, because I've got some things on my shelf that, I chased and that, one particular, I won't even say, but it's got $300 for that bottle. And that was MSRP, not even what the secondary market may be. And when I opened that bottle, I was like,
I was just going to ask, were you disappointed?
I was disappointed. And I was like, but that old granddad is true. I think I did the cheese. And so people can see. Yeah.
So my uncle, me and my uncles, he's more like my brother. And so my mom raised him when their mother passed away, and so we're pretty tight and stuff like that. So when he started introducing me to whiskey before I was 21, it was old granddad, and we drank the I can't tell you how many bottles of that stuff, and to this day, that's the whole reason why I'm a rye guy, right?
Yeah.
I love rye.
Yeah.
It's not your normal flavor, right? It's not going to give you your normal, I have a friend, she was on the show as well. And I'm going to tell you what, she sent me, have you ever had a Danko rye?
I have not. Where is it from? I'll have to look it up.
I think where she got the grain itself was more of I think Oregon areas, because that's where she's from. And OMG, I have a jar of it. And so I took it to one of the festivals, right? Because you know how everybody can be, rye.
Yes, it gets a bad rap.
It does. Just like, sorry, my cat. Just like
no,
Moonshine.
I love the fact that you have a cat.
I got two of them. They're brother and sister, and they're out of control. All she wants to do is get on the camera. But anyways, so I took her ride to the festival and let people try it because, like I said, and they were freaking blown away. They were like, that's rye. So this Danko rye is actually one of the strains that was in the Monongahela rye.
Oh, okay.
So I want to say it was Danko. Is there a Wagoneer or a wagon?
Yeah.
Something rye. And then I forget what the third one is, but that's what made up the mixture of the Monongahela rye. And that's actually like, I spent a lot of time in Monongahela, and I didn't even know that was the Great Whiskey Rebellion. Like, it's marked. I didn't know none of it. I didn't pay attention in school. I actually failed science class, and here I am. Like,
you couldn't have failed science class, not if you're Moonshine.
Absolutely. So this is the reason why. I'll tell you why. So I have a very bad learning disability. So I have to be taught in a way that keeps me focused, right?
Yeah.
So what was the aspect? What did I tell you? Why do I want to make Moonshine? What's the first reason?
You said you were rebellious.
Exactly. So there it is. That's what drew me to it. So then now my focus is full blown. I'm on it. We're going to be the best at it. You know what I mean? We're going to have a good time doing it. So
no. And that's, when you say you want to be the best at it, that's part of behind me in terms of certifications and learning more and more about, bourbon. When I, and when I teach people about bourbon, though, for me, the goal is always to do it in a way that it's approachable. Right. Just like how you can have wine sommeliers, the people that can be stuffy and what have you. I don't ever want to be that way when I'm talking to people about bourbon, because and I don't want people to think that, you can't drink a $20 bottle of old granddad. right? That there is such thing as,
Right.
a cheap bourbon or, an expensive bourbon, because bourbon, like moonshine or scotch, any whiskey, is all preference, right?
Yeah.
It's all preference. And so, so for me, that, I just want people to get the basic understanding about bourbon, its history, or what's the requirements for it to be a bourbon. Like, it can be made anywhere,
Right.
as long as it's made in the United States, right? And so
You learned me on that. Like, I was
yeah.
like, well, I thought it had to be made in Kentucky. She's like, nope.
No. Although they say about 95% of it is made in Kentucky. And here's an interesting fact too, that Kentucky has so much bourbon aging that there are at least, I think it's like maybe 2.5 barrels for each Kentuckian that is living in Kentucky right now. You're right. So you think even the babies, even have barrels? If they want, yeah. So you think a barrel, 53 gallons, right? And stuff. So,
right.
Hey, what is it, about 125, 130 gallons for each Kentuckian? That's how much bourbon is aging in that state, even right now.
I think if Bruiser Martin becomes the governor, maybe he can do a program kind of like what Trump is doing with the bank accounts. You start off every newborn with a 50-gallon barrel of their own, and you let it acquire.
I know, right.
18 years. Man.
But here's the thing. 18 years in that barrel. One of the interesting things about bourbon is this, that every year 5% of bourbon is released in the air. They call it the angel share. So you think about a 53-gallon barrel that's been aged for 18 years, you have lost a lot of that bourbon that's in there. Hence, that's why you get the prices, right, that you get on bourbon. And I would tell you that, and it's funny because I have an 18-year bottle of bourbon that I was like all excited to get. Right. And then when I opened it up and I shared it with some friends, we all went,
So here's a good question for you then, right? So what does a person like yourself, because obviously you're very knowledgeable in this, what do you look for in a good bourbon?
Well, I will say this. I'm definitely not, I used to be, but I'm not one now to chase bourbons because it's a flex, right? To have
what it is, or
yeah.
So you're in it because you have and you're like the rest of us, right? If you're going to do something and be good at it, I want to be the best at it. So I'm going to find out everything and know everything that I need to know to be the best.
Yeah. And for me, right. So for it to be a good bourbon, because I talked about that 18-year bourbon. So the finish was very short. And, and you would have thunk, as my great grandmother would say, you would have thunk after 18 years that it would have had some weight on it. But it didn't have, right? And so for me, it's important, one, that, it's got a good nose, right? And I really enjoy that. And I'm more, for me, it's that finish. Is it still lingering? Look, I've just had a couple of sips of this bourbon and I can still feel it like right here. That makes me go back to a bourbon. And I'm like, yes. Now I will tell you, I bought that bottle picked up that bottle at New Riff Distilling. Hadn't even tried it. Okay.
Oh.
But when I got home and I opened it up, I was like, oh my gosh, this is good. And let me tell you, I was working with a private club here in Atlanta, a membership club, and we were partnering with New Riff to do a bourbon dinner on Bourbon Heritage Day. And prior to the dinner, I took that bottle over And I said, here, I want, to the beverage manager, I want you to try. He and the chef and the executive chef. And they were all like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And then I took it to some other friends and they were like, oh, this is good. But what was really interesting was I let another bourbon brand try it. Ooh. And they were drinking it like they were like, and so, just to see somebody, right. Everybody appreciated it. And I think, like I said, part of it is, and look, it's coming in at 123 proof, but it doesn't drink like it's, it does not drink like it's 123 proof. You didn't see me do any kind of when I see this. It is, and I talk about it. I joke with another, I've never met him in person, but we're just, TikTok and Instagram friends. And he always jokes and says, when people are describing bourbon, and everything that they're picking up, and he'll say, ooh, that shit was smooth. And one of the things I said about this one, I said, I don't describe bourbon. Y'all don't really see me saying notes and stuff. I said, this shit was smooth. Okay. Right. Well, and that's how I like it.
See, in the moonshine world, right? Like, I guess one of the terms you don't want to hear in the moonshine is it's clean.
Ooh.
Right. If they tell you it's clean, that's a polite way of them telling you it tastes like crap.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, oh man, it's clean. So they wanted to bust my chops for a while, specifically one good friend of mine. And so they're like, oh, that's clean, bro. That's clean. I'm like, hey, clean enough to win an episode.
Yeah, but you know what though? I actually think that's fair. I will say this though. When somebody says to me, oh, that bourbon is smooth, I'll be like, I do say this and I'm like,
Just getting that, it's clean.
Exactly.
Sorry, it's clean. I mean, it's good. Right. That's it. When I did my episode, I asked the judge, the guest judge I was telling you about, I specifically asked her, I said, Chef Millie, how do you like it? Right. Because my question to you is, when you say it, you're looking for that weight, does it hold weight on that back end? Do you mean it's sticking around, it's going to hang out there for a little bit?
Yeah.
So that's something I feel like when you get into a palate thing, right? So I noticed that more and more, and it would freak me out because me and my best friend up the street, we'd be sitting there and he's like, he comes down, man, he tastes, and it blows him away. And I'm like, do you taste what I'm tasting? And he'll be telling me, and sometimes I won't even say nothing, and he'll be like, oh dude, you can taste this on the front.
Yeah.
Right. Because I really never knew there was a front, middle, and
it's all of that. Exactly. Yes. So, it's funny you say that, because even some of this is still on the front of my tongue. And that's the things that I enjoy, right? So, and if I don't get any of that, because, sometimes I'll describe, I'm picking this up on the front, right? And then the finish, you may get something even on the finish. And I may say, hey, I'm picking up, let's say, black pepper or white pepper, or, some type of spice, or maybe I'm even still getting chocolate. Right. Some of those type of things. But yeah, just, you're right. The front, mid and, and on the finish. And I prefer a finish that's more medium or long. I definitely don't want something that's light. If it's light, I'm probably not even really getting anything. I may get something on the very front, but I'm not getting anything anywhere else.
Yeah. See, so the guy that was on my episode that lost, when I tasted, he did 21 jars in 4 hours. They're like, dude, you broke the record, right? But the jar he turned in was only 50 proof, and they wanted 80, right? And the first thing that I thought was, if it tastes like water, it's probably water. It's flat. You know what I mean? You can't turn in anything flat. Are you looking for a little bit of the burn going down as well? Is that?
I do. I do prefer, when I see a bottle. I can tell you, I can smile sometimes if I go, and I've been on this scene now in Atlanta doing every Thursday where I do an old fashioned. And so, and in this series, I'm not asking them to make an old fashioned the way that I would want it. I want to know how they actually make it. And when someone offers to make an old fashioned with the 80 proof bourbon, and they're carrying on and I'm thinking, okay, this but I'm going to let them make it. But I'm like,
Right.
this is not going to be, because you need, like I said, you need some proof. You need some weight to hold up to the other things that you're going to add to that
Yeah.
bourbon. And so I found when I first started drinking, and I joke about this, that when I do tastings, especially for women or even men who aren't bourbon drinkers, I start out with lower proofs. And I start out not only with the lower proof, I start out with like wheated bourbons, like a Maker's Mark or Larceny. And I say kind of jokingly, like, these are the gateway bourbons, and I say jokingly, like how marijuana is to, not that I'm really comparing it, but,
But I mean, hey, you're
right.
absolutely right. There's something that everybody's had that gets you into bourbons.
Exactly. And so, so you go with, you're right, they do. And most people, it is Maker's Mark. Is there anybody who didn't know a Maker's Mark? Right. And so, but yeah, so those, because they're sweeter, those would be the ones that I would, introduce people to. Now, I am not that big of a fan of a wheated bourbon unless it's got some proof to it.
Oh, okay. So you want a little.
If it's got some proof to it, it's higher. Now I've got several bottles I have fallen in love, like with Peerless, and they've got their sweet mash process, and some things that they do with theirs, but all of theirs are over 100 proof. Hard Truth out of Nashville, Indiana. I didn't even know there was such a place. I didn't even know there was such a place till I went to Hard Truth. Okay, right. That's the only place I went, and they do some. They make some amazing juice. They too do sour mash, but they've got a couple of ryes that I purchased and from them, and then they also gifted me one as well. The ryes are phenomenal. And so that's where I am now. If I buy a bottle now, it's typically going to be a rye.
So the guy that's on the screen right here, Daniel Stevens, saying Old Fashions with Jimmy Red. He's the one that, if he tells you it's clean, then that's because he had said in there. But so he had his guest judge was is it Tim Jones, who is the whiskey same kind of thing. I think he does the same thing you do. He's the world renowned whiskey guy kind of deal, and so he's Jimmy Red kind of. It's funny how he always just chimes in at the right time. Like he just kind of just shows up. So Daniel and me are really good friends. So Daniel's one of the first ones I met. He's a winner also. He is a master distiller as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and and that was his episode, was a Jimmy Red. So when I first met the guy, he's like, "Hi, I'm Daniel Stevens. I hate Jimmy Red." Right? And I said, "Well, what do you got to make?" And he's like, "Jimmy Red." And I'm like, how can you hate it if you got to make it? Well, if I had to make something else, it'd be better. I'm sitting there thinking, listen, dude, you get to make corn. You get to use corn. I got bread. But
if you got rye bread.
I did. Listen, so this was really cool. I got cherry rye.
Ooh.
And I also got olive rye.
Okay.
But I gave the olive rye. So this is a curveball, right? I didn't know this until then, but olives would actually help the fermentation process.
Really?
Is what I heard. That's what they told me, right? So a lot of cool things that had happened on there for a 45-minute program. You don't see the hours of like some really cool
I can imagine.
Happened.
Yeah.
I had filled 4 jars. I love telling this one. I filled 4 jars up to the same height, like the same amount in every one. And I was using this barrel of water to keep it cold. And the part of the thing was, do you ever watch it on the show where you shake the jar and they got to tell you the proof? Mm-hmm. That's what we really had to do. That was the part of that part of the whatever, right? So they wanted 80, as close as to 80 you can get. I shook the jar. Well, first I looked. The 4 that I put in there, 2 of them were floating and 2 of them were on the bottom. And they were all to the same height. So what that, like, science kicked in, right? There's the ADHD. It all clicked for me. That tells me that water's heavier than alcohol. So the ones in the bottom are low proof. The ones floating on top are lighter. That means more alcohol, more proof, higher proof. So I took 1 jar from the top and 1 from the bottom. It's no lie. Mixed them. And I was at the end of the run with the sweet water, and it was like 20 proof or whatever. And I filled the rest of the jar up with the sweet water. I shook it. I thought I was around 100. They wanted 80. I gave them 85.
Oh, you better.
And everybody kept freaking me out because, like, I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm not like super high up or whatever, right? So they're like, oh, the bubble different. It's different with the altitude, and it is, right?
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
So a friend of mine from Oregon, I'd given me some stuff. She proofed it there at I think she proofed it at 120. When it showed up here, it was like 130. I got 10. Yeah, I got 10 extra proof out of it. I was like, yeah.
Well, you think about that, like even with bourbon, right? So like the higher that the barrels are stored in the rick house, right? Yeah. Because, right, you think about heat rises.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why those barrels that are typically higher up will have a higher proof.
So here's another cool question, right? So have you ever had anything that's been rapid aged?
Yeah. So there is one. No, and you say rapid age. I'm going to say 6 months. So that's the youngest that I've had, and they and I've actually got the bottle on my shelf. I was supporting them, but they that's they don't intend to age it any longer, and it's 82 or 84 proof, I believe. But it's not one that
so they're still barreling it and letting it sit, right?
Yeah, so, it's 6 months is the youngest. Yeah.
So like what I've been doing here, right? And this is what I love about this stuff, right? Because this kind of shows you how crafty a moonshiner can be. Mm-hmm. And so think about it, right? What we can do now is like we'll get Jack Daniel's wood chips, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna laugh. This is what they call it. My buddy Kenny Taylor actually called it this, and he calls it welfare wood. He says, "Go get you a bag of welfare wood, throw you a couple chips in a jar, and see what it gets." Right. So I was kind of like,
you put it in the jar with. So okay.
Now listen to this. I'm gonna blow that hat right off. Watch this. So there's more surface area on a piece of dust than there is a plank of wood. Think of that, right? So exactly to your point, what you were just saying, this is going to be cool, right? So exactly to your point, what you were just saying about the heat, right? Uh-huh. So think of this, right? What do we want to do? I personally want to get those old flavors into my shine and give me those colors and those flavors. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be easier to make that little tiny piece of dust swell up and release because it's just a little tiny. So what I did was I have 3 oak barrels. I've had them for a very long time. They had Canadian, like a Canadian whiskey. I think it was like a Seagram's almost, maybe, right? And had Canadian whiskey in them. And I took a piece off the stave and I took it to my chop saw. I put a bag behind it in a box, and I just filled that box up with sawdust. Right now we're into the good part of the wood. Okay, I didn't even break through the burnt side of the wood,
right? The charred side. Yeah,
the charred side, right? So we're all the way to that, but not all the way through. And what I did then was I took that dust, I put it on a pan, and I toasted it. So now I'm going to toast it at 350 for about an hour. We're not going to have the white oak anymore.
Right.
It's going to be a caramel oak.
Yeah.
And now that's going to release different tannins, different flavors.
Exactly.
Right. So now this is the fun part, right? So now I took a tea bag just because I said I'm going to take a tea bag, and I emptied it out, took the little staple out, emptied it out, and I put the same amount of sawdust in that tea bag that there was tea.
And you steeped it.
Here's what's even cooler, right? Literally, because I remember eating toast and tea for breakfast as a little kid before school, and we'd be dunking the toast or the tea, and you could see the tea getting darker, right? No bullshit. The more I dunked it, I can watch the darkness, and I'm going, oh my God, this is amazing, right? Like, bloop, bloop. No bullshit. Like, You left it in. I have an ultrasonic cleaner, like something you'd see at a jewelry store, right?
Uh-huh.
And so what I then do is I put the tea bag in the jar, put the lid on it, put it in the ultrasonic that has water in it. I put the jar in the water and turn the heat on. Now I'm taking the room and heating that jar at least till 80, some maybe 90 degrees. Now here's what's even cooler, right? So you're degassing it in that process as well.
Okay.
Right. So now we're getting rid of all those harsh things that you don't want to smell and don't want to taste. We're gassing them off, right?
Okay.
But you're watching all them little tiny bubbles from the ultrasonic go right into that wood.
Wow.
And it's just releasing these flavors. And what people get in, well, I'll just say it like this. I've seen a Glenlivet. I want to say it was like a 10-year Glenlivet. It was beautiful. I could have that in 10 minutes. Flavor and color. No shit.
Really?
Absolutely. I could go get a jar and show you.
See, this moonshine is
Yeah.
it can be made that fast.
Yeah. And then the cool thing is, right? So same thing you're talking, like we know that elevation changes are going to do things. The barometric pressure, it's going to cause a difference, right? So now if I really wanted to, so this is what I like, right? This is where I like doing what I do. You know, there's the misconception sometimes of, well, I can't drink brown liquor. It makes me want to fight. You hear that, Rod? Like, you know, the brown liquor makes me want to, okay, but I really like that taste. Well, that's cool because I can give you clear liquor to taste exactly the same as that brown, barrel and all. And I could do that. No problem.
Well, how do you do that?
I'm going to put the wood in the thumper. And that's going to push that flavor through that wood. Or I have a vacuum chamber. I could put it right in the vacuum and then we're going to push the wood in or the liquor into, pull out. Like, so for me, what I really like doing is like, you know, you got to touch on some nostalgia things, right? So orange creamsicle. What did every kid do when they had an orange, like a popsicle? They chewed on the stick.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll use a clear bourbon flavor, like, you know, from the wood barrel. I'll put that in with my orange creamsicle because then it's all the way down to the stick.
Oh my gosh.
Like that's how crafty.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So it's just all about being crafty for us, right? So the bourbon is very elegant and it gets a beautiful wrap, where moonshine, I feel, is like, but what they don't understand is it's moonshine before it turns to bourbon.
That's right. Because you're right. Because it's, for me, I'd say it's the aging process, right, that makes it the bourbon.
Right.
And it has to go, in that container, because if it doesn't go in that new oak container, then it's not known as bourbon. So that's where it gets, you know, you start picking up. So, because it was interesting when you said that you use the outside of the barrel versus the charred side, right? And the charred side, when you're aging bourbon, is where you tend to pick up the flavors, right? Because it's when they char, and, you know, some char and toast it. But, you know, when it's moving, that bourbon is in the barrel. And it's one of the things why Kentucky is so good is because of the hot summers, right? Yeah. So we talked about heat, what heat does. And so the bourbon expands into the barrel. And so that charring, once it is cold and it comes back, you're picking up those flavors. So I could see that what you talked about with the moonshine, but I was really curious as to why you didn't go on the inside versus going on the outside.
Okay, so I can tell you that. Me personally, like, so the inside to me, the way I was doing it, right? I didn't want to create too much of the dust or whatever, because I'm still going to filter this out.
Yes. So
I just felt that I give you almost all the way to that burnt, but I was toasting them as well. So like I actually, what I did, I bought 3 barrels. I took a chainsaw and I cut one of the barrel, like the staves, long ways. And what it gave me was big curls. So that's all oak curls. I caught them all on the tarp. I took them, I toasted them I put each pan in my little kitchen oven outside, And I toasted them suckers for each pan got an hour toasting at 350. Then the next one was 375. And then the next one was 400. So I got light, medium, and dark toast. And I'm selling them at the next event that I go to. I got a little tag for them. And, you know, I'm just trying to have something for everybody, because I took one can, put it right into a jar. It's primo. It's just like the next day, and you filter it out. You can let it dry up again and reuse it.
So that toasting, do you pick up like things like marshmallow or anything like that in it? Yeah.
Yes. So absolutely right. Not only that, but when I had done so I'm into malting my own stuff, right? So here in PA, there's a place not very far from me. They're one of the only ones who still do floor malting. So and I don't know if a lot of people know what that is. Like, this dude owns a whole entire old school, and they malt on the floor.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
They come through and they got to turn it. They have a little machine that comes in.
Rollers. Yeah. Oh, wow.
So here I bought an 80-pound bag of barley, and I've been malting my own, man. It's I really enjoy that, because after you're done, you dehydrate or you toast. And I mean, I'm talking, you're getting like a biscuit kind of taste. You get caramels.
Yes.
The darker you go, I feel like the more like the chocolate flavors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's the same with bourbon, right? Like, the darker you can pick those up.
Yeah. There are a couple of bourbon brands that use a higher proof of barley, and they that's what they talk about, is the chocolate and things like that you pick up because of that barley. Yeah.
So that's another one too, like, because they have different.
I like this comment that no rules in the backwoods. It's all a big science experiment. It sounds like it. That sounds amazing.
Right. And then what happens? You create the next bourbon on the shelf, or the next clear. You take it to a distillery, and you know what I mean? Like, so that's really what the idea here is. You know what I mean? Like, somebody's trying to make the next thing, right? So I think where it comes, like, because this is what, do you hear a lot of, like, that the field is oversaturated
in terms of bourbon?
Yes.
Yeah, well, let me just say this. I think what you don't see is a lot of craft distillers, right? So when I think about you as a moonshiner, I think you don't see a lot of craft distillers. And actually, in terms of, because I don't know if I would say that it's oversaturated in that, for me, because people have their own thing that they like and they enjoy about bourbon. So I think that that's the beauty about it, right? So you may be, I talked about it, say Old Forester, where somebody's like, I know people like, I don't like anything that Old Forester makes, and I'm thinking, oh, but are you crazy? But they, yeah, right. But they're like, hey, I'm a Jim Beam fan, or and when you think about it, in the bourbon space, you got the big boys, right? And you got the big boys who really own a lot of brands. I remember, so somebody, sent out a message talking about, hey, we need to boycott this, we need to boycott that, right? And my daughter, I remember her sending me this message. She said, what now? we boycotting, and I said, people are so crazy. I said, do they realize when they say boycott this one particular bourbon brand, they don't realize who owned that brand and all of the other things that are produced by them. So you'd be boycotting a whole lot, right? And stuff because of that. So no, granted, yes, there are a lot of bourbons on the shelf. I don't get me wrong with that. But I think that, once again, it's all personal preference. And so there are folks, that they have their go-tos. That's what they drink. And those staples are gonna be there. Jim Beam sells across the world. So, Maker's Mark sells across the world. What did I see, though, that surpassed is the number one selling bourbon? And it wasn't Beam or Maker's. Which one was it? It was maybe Elijah Craig or something. I have to go back and look. I just saw the article just a few days ago, and I was like, oh, wow, they surpassed Jim Beam, because it used to be Jim Beam or Jack Daniel, and it was neither one of them. Yeah.
Is Jim Beam the one that's kind of closing distilleries up, or?
Well, they closed it. Well, they closed the production of their because, got caught up, in terms of, tariffs and things and stuff like that. And, so bourbon, during the pandemic had the big boom, right?
Yeah.
And so therefore, there was this, big production of bourbon. And so, when the tariffs and things were put in place, a lot of what people don't realize is, a lot of bourbon is sold outside of the United States. Jim Beam, of course, was one of those. I'm trying to pull it up here on my phone, but because I was talking about which bourbon has surpassed Jim Beam. But, you can find Beam anywhere in the world, and typically in Maker's Mark. So they closed production in their Claremont facility. However, they're still making other brands, right? So their top brands like Booker's or Baker's, and those brands, they're still, they're what would I say? What I call them premium, higher premium brands. Yeah, they're still producing those. Yeah. It's the other ones that, were oversaturated. Yeah.
Okay. See, and that's what I tell people, right? So I was always like this. Listen, well, thank God I don't make bourbon. Right.
No. You can make bourbon, because there's always, because here's the thing about bourbon. There are price points. So people are going to, that's why like a $20 old granddad is going to, always sell a Jim Beam. Listen, I was in Kentucky just last week, and I was in Kroger, and some guy came in, and he said to the cashier, "Give me 2 of them little mini bottles of Jim Beam or whatever and stuff." Right? He put them in a bag and went on out the store, and I thought, okay, that's all he needed was his 2 for whatever he was going to do.
Just give me them 2 little ones. We're good.
That was it. And I was in there walking around going, okay, what do I have in here that's not on my shelf? And I didn't get anything at that particular Kroger, because, like in Kentucky, the grocery store sells bourbon, right?
Right.
And so I didn't get anything at that particular one. But on my way to Louisville, I stopped at a grocery store. Hi, Sean. I stopped at a grocery store in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And I had been looking for a bottle of Old Fitzgerald 7-year bottled in bond bourbon. Heaven Hill produces it. Can't find it here in Atlanta, or if you find it, it's secondary pricing. And I had tried it once, and I was like, "Ooh, I like this too." It's a higher rye, right? And so bottled in bond. And
what does the bottled in bond mean exactly?
Sure. So the Bottled in Bond Act was created in 1897. And that's because, and one of the reasons why that was, and Colonel E.H. Taylor, have you heard of Colonel E.H. Taylor bourbon?
No. Come on, lay it on me. That's why you're on here. Do you listen?
I'm gonna turn around here.
Go ahead.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Look at this. This I so happen to have right here. So this is a single barrel that somebody gifted me. Colonel E.H. Taylor, he introduced the Bottle and Bond Act. And the reason why he did that is because people were just putting any damn thing in the bourbon, right? And calling it bourbon. And, it was basically trash. You're right. So Tony is correct. So the Bottled and Bond Act normally has 4 or 5 requirements. One, it has to be at least 100 proof. It has to be aged at least 4 years in a federally guarded or protected, if you will, distillery in one distilling season. And so distilling seasons are either like in the fall or spring, right? And one distilling season by one master distiller. So those are the guidelines you hear with Bottled and Bond. And so, and it's a guarantee by the United States that this is legitimate bourbon. This is good juice. I mean, not necessarily good juice, but this is, it's not gonna make people sick, right?
Yeah. So that's the bond part, right? Like that's like, hey, look,
bond.
this is, in a sense, the government kind of backs it.
That's right. It is the government back. And when I remember doing a video.
Was I right on that?
You were right on that. Exactly. And you were right on that. And that's when I did a video and I explained it to people and I said, this is federal law talking. And I said, this is federal law talking, and this is the government's assurance, right? Because, they say federal, guard, warehouse, all of those type of things and stuff. Right. So, yeah. So a lot of, so Colonel E.H. Taylor, he was responsible for that in 1897.
And it's still going strong?
Still going strong. Listen, brands, when, on my social platform, I've been teaching different things about bourbon. And I, had taught, what the Bottled in Bond Act means. Because when people see certain things, whether you're seeing single barrel, like this is single, not only is it bottled in bond here, right? But it is single barrel as well. So, you think about, you just talked about your moonshine, and you got that one bottle. And that's the flavor profile in that one bottle. Well, that's what single barrel bourbon is, just that one barrel. And so that's the thing that I've just been into now. Not only I told you I like a rye, but if I get a single barrel, oh my gosh, because that's the thing with this one. This was a single barrel. You're not going to get that flavor profile again.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that's a one and done. They don't ever use that barrel again.
No, that's right. Bourbon can't be reused, right?
So that means that barrel comes to me. I shred it up, and then I get what's left over. We call that the heathen's cut.
Or it gets so rum is aged in it again.
Right.
Oh yeah, right. Tequila.
Yeah, tequila would be a good one. Yeah. So a couple of people have given me some tequila, and I am a tequila guy, right? Like, so I've always loved tequila, and just as of probably, I'd say within the last 5 years, that I found out that, like, now I know why the Mexican people can stay up all night and party is because tequila is an upper. Yes, it's a sativa.
You're right. Listen, well, because you may be right about that. Because everybody I see who drink tequila can keep it going, and I'm like,
okay. All night long. They're like, all night long. And I'm not being any other way, but honest, like that's like so tequila.
You may be right about that, because my friends who are tequila drinkers, I'm like, aren't you tired?
They don't ever get tired. Listen, tequila's that all nighter, right? So
and bourbon drinkers, we're doing like this. Look at them.
Yeah. So here's a good one, right? So me being new to bourbon, what would be if you were to recommend three bottles, a rye or high rye, a regular bourbon,
Kentucky bourbon,
or
wheat, maybe.
I was just going to say a wheat bourbon.
Okay.
Can you give me what you would recommend someone like me? And then which one am I going to use that for to just put on the rocks? I want to, I want to do that.
Okay. I'm like, okay, I had some out here, but let me step over here.
Yeah.
I just had some on my desk, but let me step over here real quick.
I'll keep everybody.
Okay.
Don't worry. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have 3 flavors of bourbon. I'm using Trucker's Fame, using Junior Red. Oh, there you go, Roy. Heck yeah. What's up, Steven? This is a good time to say hi to everybody. What's up, Tony? I appreciate everybody chiming in today, man. It's an awesome guest. This has been a good one.
Okay. All right, let me.
Like, she's coming back with bottles, and she's gonna put us on, everybody.
Okay, I'm gonna see here. So you said if you had to do 3 bottles, what would I say? So I'm gonna start first with this one. This is a wheated bourbon, and this is Larceny. Heaven Hill produces this one. It's a small batch, 92 proof. But I'm
Okay.
telling you, this is a good I think sipper, one that you could put over
I'm writing this
ice.
shit down.
One that you can put over ice. It typically
Okay.
runs say like $30, 30, $35 MSRP. But it's really good. It's one that I, would introduce, someone to. Okay. So
Okay.
uh-huh.
Now, am I putting ginger ale or anything like?
All if you want to, because this one is one that I sometimes, if I'm showing people how to make a cocktail, I make a Kentucky Mule. And so, that's when you use a little ginger beer in it and some lime juice. You don't, no other sweetener, right? And so I may use this if somebody wants a sweet cocktail, or a sweeter cocktail, then I would use this one. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, see,
Okay.
you know your stuff.
Now I'm gonna tell you one that I love with some chocolate.
Woodford Reserve.
Woodford Reserve. Now this is this bottle right here is the commemorative, the Kentucky 152 bottle. But when I tell you Woodford, they don't.
That's pretty dark too.
Oh yeah, no, it's probably aged somewhere around. One of the things that by law, that if a bourbon is aged less than 4 years, it has to have an age statement on it, right? So there's no age statement on this one. So it's probably definitely aged at least 4 years. But I think this one is aged somewhere around 6 to 8 years. Yeah, you're right. It is. Look at the color. Yeah. And so, but when I tell you this one is really good, what you talked about chocolates and things like that. And there may be times when I just like on a Saturday night, I'm eating a chocolate chip cookie and having a dram of Woodford Reserve.
Now and it pairs up that good. Because listen, I am a chocolate chip cookie fiend.
That good. That good. I go to a place to get the chocolate chip cookie from them.
Wait, are you dipping the cookie in there?
No. But I take a sip of the Woodford, then I bite the cookie, then I come back with a sip of the Woodford, and awesome. It's just like it creates this explosion.
Yeah, like you're amazing when it comes to like giving that experience, right? Because it's really not just I'm gonna drink some bourbon. It's a whole freaking experience, man. And
can I tell you, I did a cigar pairing for 6 guys, corporate guys. They were like HVAC guys and stuff, right? And stuff, big trucks and all this kind of stuff, right? And so when I get out there, I don't, the daughter hires me. They've gotten this Airbnb and they, just want this bourbon and cigar pairing. And so I suggest bourbons and the cigar, and I guess he was the CEO, maybe, I'm not for sure. And he came back when I, said, this is the proposed pairing. He was like, oh my gosh, I love it. What I did not know was the cigar was his favorite, one of his favorite cigar brands. And I didn't know that. But what I brought out, the additional things that I took to pair with were dark chocolate squares, apple slices, cheese, right? I did all that. And these guys had just finished, eating steak.
They're loving it. They're loving it.
Right? And they were like, oh my gosh, Donna, you changed my life. Like this Eagle Rare 10-year and a piece of chocolate or whatever. They were like, oh my gosh, this is like, I'm telling you. And my girlfriend was like, she said, these men were going nuts over that chocolate and bourbon. She said, who would have thunk it? Because, I'm telling you, like we're like, okay, look at the big trucks and all this kind of stuff. And when they told us, that they were like HVAC guys and all this stuff, right? And what was so funny was like the guy who, like I said, his daughter hired me. He said, listen, he said, I'm the only one who really drinks bourbon and smokes cigars. He said, the rest of these guys need some culture. So I need you to help them. And I'm like, but I try to teach it in a non-pretentious way and stuff. And so I want everybody to feel comfortable in this. But they said that bourbon and chocolate or bourbon and apples and stuff like that changed their lives. Okay.
See, this right here's changed. Like, I feel like
I'm telling you, like if you're a big chocolate person, oh yeah, bourbon will do. Now you talk about a rye, and I'm going to tell you this Archer Elin, okay, is now you're in Pennsylvania, so I think you can only get this like in the Midwest, right?
Okay.
Ohio. I'm not for sure if it's in Pennsylvania. I know it's in definitely in Ohio. I want to say maybe Michigan. But this is Archer Elin. She is a woman. She was formerly a nurse, and she worked for Penelope. Was it Penelope? Penelope Pinhook, I'm not for sure. May have been Penelope, but she was with. She was a nurse. She went with them. She worked for them, and then she started her own. And all of her bourbons, all of her whiskeys, because let me be clear, are rye.
Ooh,
a woman doing ryes. Okay,
that's what's up. That's cool. That's super cool.
Yeah. And so this suede, Archer Elin suede, this one is, can you see that proof on that?
126.
126.
And how does it drink? Is it more like, because here's the thing, right? Like we all have had like a bottle, like again, right back to whole drinking and smelling and stuff like that. Like you don't want to stick your nose into that like that. And like,
I'm going to tell you, one of the things I do, did you just hear me? And I do this every time I open up a bourbon bottle.
Is the cork.
I smell the cork. Yeah. And you could just tell, even from smelling the cork, that, this is not going to be, because sometimes when you go to put the cork up, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. you know already what you're about
to drive by. It's like a drive by. Like you're like, oh.
Yeah, all that that ethanol, right?
Yeah.
Like that. Right. No, you don't get that. And that was the reason why, because I met her at the New Orleans Bourbon Festival. And so she was there, and I had an opportunity to try her bourbons, and so this would definitely be something that I would say, get. I think like that Woodford Reserve runs, like $40, $45 a bottle. I think this Archer Elin is, it may have been like this particular one, either $69.99. I think so, $69.99. A bottle, but it is worth that because it's a really good bourbon. Now this one, like Wendy will tell you, you can drink it all different types of ways and stuff. But because it's at 126 proof, I think was it Dave that talked about the Jimmy Red and the old fashioned
Daniel.
Daniel. Now this one, this would really be good in any type, old fashioned, a Manhattan. Yeah. You can use this Woodford. Now this Woodford Reserve, right? You think about Kentucky Derby. So for Kentucky Derby, they do what's called a Woodford Spire. So with a little cranberry juice and a little cranberry juice, fresh lemon juice, stuff. It makes a Woodford Spire. Good whiskey sour if you wanted it in a cocktail.
See, I'm just like, I am like. So what about like this? Have you ever had like what's the idea behind smoking whiskey? Have you ever had like that? Try.
Well, yeah. I've got a cigar blend whiskey here on one of my top shelves, Buzzard Roost. They do,
When you say cigar blend, right? So I didn't mean to interrupt, but when you say cigar blend, I have like, so for me, like a cognac, right? Jay-Z's has a cognac that is absolutely one of the unbelievable, because it has the cigar kind of flavors and the vanilla flavors and it's a cognac, and you're like, this is, how do I get this into my moonshine?
So it is that toasting. That's what they actually do. And so like this it's double. I think this cigar blend is double oaked and or double oaked and toasted as well. And so that creates that, and and it does. I was pleasantly surprised, and had never even thought about it. I happened to be they have a tasting room in Louisville, and I went in, and someone introduced me to the the CEO, and I just happened to say, talking about smoking cigars, and he said, "You need to try this," and I was like, "Okay." And so, and I was like, this is really good. This is
Yeah,
that. This
see,
is really
I tried
because it
my.
wasn't overpowering because sometimes they can be too smoky.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm not big into this like smoky, but
No,
so
yeah.
I tried one before, but I did it with a moonshine at home, and I liked it.
Yeah. No. I like a little smoke. I don't want it to be
Yeah.
overpowering because you know how smoke can be. It can be overpowering, and then you're not picking up. You know whether like some people love a good smoked old fashioned. I'd be like, can we lift that lid off of that, please? I want to be able to taste the.
Yeah, I want to be
don't
able
want
to
to just
breathe
leave
too.
smoke, right?
Man,
Exactly.
I'm like, oh no, I'm dying. Listen,
Yeah.
that's one of the other things. But I can't thank you enough. Our time is up. We're actually going past our time, and it was that easy because actually we went probably 30 minutes past because you hopped on around a little bit after 7. So you have been one heck of a conversation, and I'm going to tell you what. Thank you.
Well,
thank you.
No, this has been fun.
I feel like we can go another hour, but I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to figure out a way that when I do this, I want you either live stream or come back online, and I want to
pleasure
taste one of my first ones with you, and then I want to tell you what I taste. And
I love it. And listen now, and you can send me your address. I can do a handshake. That's what we call it in the bourbon space where we're shipping it. So I can handshake you some of these.
The one thing I was gonna.
I got bottles up there now where people have been, whether it's scotch and others and stuff. We can do some handshakes now.
I'm sitting there thinking, like, because I interviewed another guy out in California, and he does like a tasting online, and then he has his little goddamn saying, right? Club Dirty. Okay. Millions of followers and stuff like that. And where was I going with that?
We were talking about the handshakes.
Yes, the handshakes. And I'll make sure I can shake your hand too. We'll just put that. I'll make sure we can get you something over there as well. But I would love to see your bar. I think that's where I was getting at, because I can only imagine, because he had told me, because people send him so much stuff. He's like, dude, I have to give it away.
Yeah.
He has that much. Like, is it like that with you as well? Like, do they send you a lot?
No, I'm looking because I'm in here. I've got like maybe a couple hundred bottles here.
Jesus, and I've got a couple hundred.
I guess, and I know, and it's just me. It is just me too. And I tell people, so like, I'm doing something on Saturday, and I was telling one of my friends, I said, folks can just come in and just drink what they want to drink. She said, you're just letting people just drink, and I was like, yeah. And then it dawned on me, I said, well, maybe I need to hide a few of them.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's some single barrels that I really like.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so, but yeah. Well, let me turn on the light real quick, except because I had the lights dim.
It's okay. You don't have to if you don't want to.
So I can just show you some of my. Hold on. Well, I don't mind. I'll show you the shelves.
Woo!
Let me turn on the light, the overhead light.
See, now we're getting to see what the good stuff is.
Well, wait a minute. I'm trying to see. I'm like, it looks like I lost you. I'm trying to figure out where was I here so I can see you.
You there? You there?
Can you see me? I can hear you.
Yep, I can see you.
Okay. You can't. Okay, there we go. I'm like, I don't know what happened here. I don't know what happened. Except so you see me moving over to this.
Yeah.
What shelf is this? Except so each shelf has like about 3, because I pulled some of those other ones down. So I don't know if you can see this one. This has 3 rows here. This is all let me go down here. I just pulled some from that. So each of these rows, am I getting there? I'm not doing really good.
Do you have them in an order of like?
I do. So what I tend to do is I put them in order of either by the distillery or by the type of bourbon it is. So it makes it easier for me to find. So like you see like behind me is like ASW. And so there are 3 rows. I mean,
Yeah.
in that column, there are 3 rows there. This is Rare Character. Still Austin out of Texas. This row here, Rows of Angels Envy.
My wife ships that stuff, Angels Envy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I tell her all the time, I'm like, we got the market cornered. I make it and you ship it.
Yeah. And so, you heard me talking about Old Forester. I poured that 1 bottle of Woodford. This is Woodford Double Oak Chicken Cock. I've got 3 or 4 bottles of like Peerless, whatever here, Michter Row, Hard Truths. Yeah. So I just kind of do it that way and stuff. And then, over here, is the other shelves over here and stuff as well. So as you can see, I keep a lot of bourbon.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Hey, you're the Bourbon Goddess for a reason. I mean,
guess,
right?
Probably should, and stuff. And so, and then upstairs, I have another sideboard.
Listen, you got more bourbon on that shelf down there than probably most dudes have ever dreamed of even seeing or being a part of. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome. It's so cool. Right. Like, so like, again, like when we started the conversation, right. I could tell that there's a power in you and like my wife, the same thing. She's a very powerful woman. You portray the same thing. Like, good for you. Like I think it's cool that you have a laundry list of accomplishments in your life. And then what you choose to do at the end, let it rip. You want to drink some good bourbon. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Hey, I told you I want to be the lady when I'm 90 and somebody says how. I said because I've had a shot of bourbon every day. So.
Yes, ma'am. That's it too, right? Just like my buddy's grandmother, 100 years old. I think she died at 101, and she made shine until she was like 95. You know what I mean? She probably drank it until the day she passed away. That's probably what it is. You know why? Because it thins the blood out a little bit. For us cold weather folks out here in Pennsylvania, it thins the blood out a little.
You gotta love it.
But luckily, I'm only 27 miles away from Ohio, so I can scooch on over and get some of that.
Get that Archer Eland, I'm telling you.
I am. And then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get you back on here and we're going to do a live tasting review kind of thing.
That would be wonderful.
Awesome.
And thank you again. No, seriously. Thank you so much for reaching out. I remember when I got your email and I was like, oh my gosh. And so I appreciate, that I came across your feed and you thought enough of what I do to reach out. And it has really, truly been a pleasure just being on here with you and actually getting an opportunity to learn about moonshine. Because I geek out over that stuff too.
Listen, I see, right. And that's how I am. I geek out over it. Like, I'll go through a dry spell and I'm like, I don't want to do nothing, like whatever. Then someone's like showing me a mash online and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. Let's go.
Same here. Same.
But I will send you my address. We'll exchange and then we'll shake hands. Like you said, you tell me where you want it, like proof wise, and we'll let it rip.
All right.
I'll send you some good white lightning. Yeah, right. Well, see, that's the thing, right? So everybody gets that white lightning misconception. But if you taste somebody like, and I'm not bragging, but like mine or Daniel's or Reggie's, there's a big difference between what we make and what.
Well, I'm looking forward to this then.
So, hey, I'd really like you to try some of this rye.
Okay.
This Danko rye, like, because it is on enough. Because like, if you ever went through ryes and feel like rye, they all almost taste the same. This one doesn't.
Yeah, well, I agree. You can, and it's because I was just sitting and looking over like on my shelf. Like, I love a Pikesville rye. I've got it over here. I've got Michter's 10-year rye there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even I know that one's a good one.
Yeah. Oh, that one's really good.
Yeah.
And so no, I'm real particular because like you say, I don't want them all to taste the same. I don't want them all to just have some bite. right? And and stuff.
Right.
I need to pick up some other things and stuff as well too when I'm sipping it.
See, and that's what I look for when I'm drinking corn liquor, right? So, and that's what I was just telling somebody. I feel like a lot of people's corn liquor, they're like, oh, corn, but it just tastes like alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, it really does. But when you taste mine or Daniel's and I'm not the best at it. I can tell you that, right? But I can tell you I know what I'm doing, and I can tell you the shit tastes good, and I can also tell you I ain't ever tasted anybody that makes anything like me.
Well, you gotta brag on your stuff, because if you don't brag on it, who else is bragging on it?
Hey, that's part of what you win in the show. That's what they said. You win bragging rights, and you get a limited edition, and that's so I'll have my own bottle out on the shelves. So maybe my bottle could get on your shelf.
Hey! Alrighty. I love it.
Well, that's what we're shooting for then. So, hey, Donna, listen, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
And I appreciate you. So thank you.
Hey,
Bye.
you have a good night, and I'll email you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
thank you, Donna. Good night.
Okay. Good night.
All right, everybody. Listen, just want everybody to know we'll be back. Thank you. Good podcast.